All right, so first of all, welcome back to all of you guys. I know, again, it's been a couple of days since I've uploaded a video, but it's been very, very busy. I'm sure a lot of you guys know the holiday season is wild. So anyway, let's talk about this, okay? Let's talk about the Tesla electric semi-truck and some numbers put forward by Elon Musk. Now, a lot of you guys probably already familiar with the numbers that Musk brought up for the overall efficiency, right? 1.7 kilowatt hours per mile, which, let's just say right now, for the truck, for an electric semi-truck that is as large as these behemoths are, that is incredibly, incredibly good. That's really substantial and actually very, very impressive numbers that we're seeing. So that's great, okay? Energy consumption, very good, 1.7 kilowatt hours per mile. He said possibly there's a path to 1.6, 1.5, which would just be absurdly efficient. But Inside EVs actually talked about this as well, and this very much caught my eye because it got me thinking, okay? And Inside EVs did the math, and they talked about the overall range, and they said that the battery pack here might actually be around 850 kilowatt hours, okay? Which is absolutely, absolutely enormous. Now, some of you might look at that, and you might think, okay, well, is that good? Is that actually okay? Because it seems like that would be prohibitively heavy. It seems like it would be prohibitively bulky. You know, all those things. I can't say prohibitively either, apparently. I'm getting tongue-tied over here. But some people might say that's a very large battery pack that screams of inefficiency. And actually the complete opposite, okay? This sort of vehicle being powered by a battery pack was unheard of until very recently. And we've got to remember also, the goal here is to obviously be able to transport a great deal of cargo. It's a semi-truck, of course. Be able to travel routinely, consistently, with really, little downtime, okay, as well. That is exactly what we are seeing accomplished here. We are finally seeing the marriage of this kind of technology, okay, with real utility. Now, I would say real utility has been sort of a theoretical possibility with large vehicle battery packs for a long time, okay? And I don't think that's anything new. But what this says to me, especially right now, and especially looking at the math here that Inside EVs did, right, to look at 850 kilowatt hours for the battery pack, what that really says to me is we are on the verge of a lot of larger battery packs for EVs. Now, most likely over time, those are going to become more energy dense, right? We're going to see even better efficiencies. We're going to see more power packed into smaller and smaller form factors. But not only that, we are going to see a world where these sort of extreme high utility vehicles really come into the forefront with battery technology. And if you have, some basic knowledge of the industrial space, of the, I would even say agricultural sector, a lot of people view electric vehicles as sort of like toys, right? Which obviously, really not an accurate representation. But a lot of people look at them and they go, well, these vehicles, they just don't have the range. They don't have the sort of capacity that I need for work. I only want to fill up the tank, like once a week, something like that. And that's really not a big issue, but it's more of a psychological thing, okay? What excites me about this is that it's going to open a lot of minds to the possibility of, well, we don't need to worry as much about, these vehicles not bringing that kind of utility. And it's going to cross a big psychological barrier where a lot of people are going to go, well, this is finally a possibility. And this is really something that we can do now. It also indicates, in my opinion, that Tesla has enough battery cells to get the job done. Now, again, you might be wondering, well, what exactly are we talking about here when we're talking about battery cells? What am I actually referencing? And what we need to think about, what we need to potentially care about over all else is Tesla before was primarily limited by the number of cells, the number of batteries that they could actually make, right? The number of cells the company could actually field and could actually put forward. And now what we are seeing is we're seeing a world where the manufacturing for those cells, the manufacturing for those batteries is not limited, right? It's not limited by that capacity nearly as much as it was. So if we're talking about semi trucks, if we're talking about the Cybertruck, for example, other pickup trucks, even vans, right? That's something else that's been touched on, it's been talked about. That these sort of vehicles, these utility focused vehicles with large batteries, would be very, very battery cell intensive. And that's kind of a no brainer, right? But now we're getting to the point where those battery cells are actually starting to see a lot of widespread availability. And I think that is perhaps what we need to note here over anything else is that this is a game-changing consideration. It's not just a one-off thing. It's not just, the semi-truck standing alone. It's not just this vehicle. It is all of the vehicles that can be enabled by a very, very large battery pack. And by the number of cells that could be flowing, it also kind of says, hey, in terms of, even experimenting with other vehicles, in terms of, quite possibly introducing new vehicle models, like, for example, the $25,000 car, whether that's a hatchback, a small sedan, doesn't really matter too much what exactly it is. But having a surplus of batteries, surplus of battery cells, which I think this does indicate, is obviously an extremely important step. It is something that really can not be avoided whatsoever. And with that as a consideration, I think that we've just got to say that this is the right track, okay? This is the right path forward. And I know that some people are going to look at this and they're going to say, well, I'll care more about that when it scales upward. I would say that now we're at that point, okay? It's the end of 2022, which seems wild to say, okay? But it is what we're starting to really see take hold. We're seeing that again, this technology is now sitting at the forefront, something that for so long I think a lot of people view it as a sort of eventual thing, right? As something that could happen down the line that could eventually, end up making a difference. And it's really not that distant. It is a lot closer than it is widely understood. And I want to say right now, let me know what you think about that also. Is this going to usher in a new era of vehicles that are arguably more cell intensive than really anything we've seen so far? I know that, again, might seem kind of strange to think about, but it really doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be that sort of, far flung, far off in the future consideration, right? It's now starting to make an appearance at the forefront. And I gotta say, if companies don't start prioritizing more battery cells and larger battery packs, it's going to be a tough time, okay? This is a huge advancement, absolutely enormous. So let me know what you guys think about that. Thank you for watching. Have a great one, and I'll see you next time.